Hi, I'm Mike, and this is my mic. Hi, this is Mike. Thanks for tuning in to Mike's Mic. This week, I have a very special guest. You know him from all these Netflix projects, Roxanne, The Get Down, Who Shot Biggie, and I know him specifically from stand-up comedy circa 2009, Eastville Comedy Club, Ask Holes. We got to give it up for the Murphy Monday podcast host, Nigel, the real deal, Fullerton.
I now have a a real deal. I'm like Holyfield now.
Do you come out to gospel music? Absolutely.
That's hilarious.
Man, I haven't seen you in a while. You moved to LA.
Yes, it's
I got to
very
say
weird here.
congrats. It
Thank
seems
you.
like you're getting well adjusted out there. You are someone that I know that keeps their head down and puts in the work. So I wanted to have you on this podcast because a lot of people, come into this industry and they're like, how can I do? Just, you got to put the work in, there's no shortcuts, there's no excuses. But today we're going to be talking about how you got into entertainment because you're kind of not like a one trick pony, you
No,
know?
I'm not.
Um, I met you doing stand up, then we did Ask Holes. You've done a lot of web stuff, and past couple of years you've been on ABC, Netflix. So I think a lot of people, when they're starting out, it's like jarring. Like, how do I need this? Do I have to do this? And they're just, taking opportunities. But the first thing I want to tell me about your start. Like, I want to know about little Nigel Fullerton.
Oh,
Like,
me?
obviously you're Eddie Murphy fan, but were you, when you got introduced to Eddie Murphy, what was the thing that got you introduced to him?
Oh, it was Golden Child. Golden Child was the first Eddie Murphy movie that I watched. However, the movie that made me want to do like stand-up comedy, made me want to act was The Nutty Professor.
All right, so what was that, in the mid 90s or late
That
90s?
was the mid 90s. So, I was trying to find myself. I was in middle school. We all go through that thing where we're like, I don't know what to do. Like I used to move around a lot. So I was like, I was told either you had to be funny or you had to play sports. And I was horrible at sports. So uh
I attested to, like, when you're growing up, your only worth is your grades and how good you are at sports.
yeah.
And I think for the majority of people, we get left out.
I think so too. I was bad at every sport. Like I tried every sport.
It's
I
bad.
I was in little league. I was in track. I was in basketball, football. Like I was bad at every sport. Didn't know the rules.
I know this is random, but you did a commercial campaign where you got a soccer ball kicked at you.
Oh my god, yeah, she slammed me in the face a couple times.
Did you have flashbacks of when you were a kid in goal when it's like, just put your hands up?
No,
You're like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
no, I don't remember playing soccer in school. That's the funny thing. Like I don't remember that. All I remember is that, and for the viewers at home, I did a affinity commercial with one of the, I guess it was the I forgot her name, but she's like an Olympic champion soccer player who like
Yeah.
had to kick balls at my face.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you take the gig, you know?
Yeah, but I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that was happening. What happened was I was there with another guy and I'm making fun of him. Hey, she's going to hit you in the face, dude. You need to block. You need to learn how to block, sir. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, why don't you guys switch?
But I think that's a big testament of your character too. Like, you know, when anytime I've seen you on set or anything, it's, you're very natural, you're yourself, and you are uh very conversational. Like,
Mm.
you're not hiding in the back. Do you think that has helped you get opportunities? Like, I know when you were first starting out, you got to do like a short segment on Jimmy Kimmel
Mhm.
as Notorious B.I.G. And you said it turned into, instead of just being like a background character, they started giving you lines. Because what was the story where Alicia Keys came up?
Nah, what happened was I went to audition for something totally different. I went to audition for something for Eddie Murphy, actually. And it was
Oh,
for like Eddie
whoa.
Murphy
All right.
fans. And what happened was, as I'm walking out, this guy said, "Hey, I have this audition here. Nobody's here. Why don't you just read real quick?" And they're looking for a rapper. And I was like, "Oh, okay. I do a pretty good impression of a couple rappers. Let me do my impression of a rapper and then let me leave." So I did the audition, thought nothing of it. I get a call like 2 days later, like, "Hey, you just got called for a thing with Jimmy Kimmel." I was like, "Who's Jimmy Kimmel?"
Did you even, the thing that's funny about it is, did you even remember it from the call? Like, you're like, wait, what?
I
Like,
thought
it
it
was
was for
such a
something
side.
else. I thought it
Yeah.
was for Eddie Murphy. I thought I was doing
You're like,
yeah.
oh, I'm about to get my Eddie Murphy connection. They're like, do you want to be on Jimmy Kimmel? You're like, wait, what? That's
I'm
funny.
like, okay. And then there go, it's with Alicia Keys. I'm like, oh, I'm intrigued now.
Some people want it all.
Yeah. But what ended up happening was I did that, and the people from the Murphy thing, they called me for something else. They called me for the football thing. And that's how I got to do the football promo with Comedy Central for the guilt trip.
That was funny too. That looking back at how you said you didn't really play sports, you keep getting these commercials where you have to be an athlete. But I think that's the football spot you did was one of my favorite things because it kind of shows the insanity of fans and it let you be a little bit more playful. So you were like going nuts on the field and stuff. It was fun.
Oh, they let me
Um,
create the character as I was doing it. It was amazing. I was like, oh, okay. I'm a sensitive football player. Okay, cool.
That's great. So all right, so when you were a kid, you saw Eddie Murphy, and then you were like, all right, I either got to be funny or figure something out. What was the first step towards your career?
That's interesting. Um,
Like, did you do theater or anything?
I was in one play, one
What
play in
was
high
it?
school.
Do you
It
even
was it
remember the
was
name?
Bye Bye Birdie.
Why did every high school in the 90s do Bye Bye Birdie?
I don't know. I was in 8th grade. I actually went out for Conrad Birdie, and I was really good as Conrad Birdie, but they didn't give it to me. They gave me some like little part where I was like the bartender, some weird part, but I killed my part.
Dude, it's like 50s white America. They're
That's,
like, no way, no way.
they're like, we can't have this African American singing our Elvis songs.
Hi, Birdie. Oh my God. I would love to see you in like a little sports jacket.
I was
Uh,
really trying to do it. Like I was really, but
that's great.
I got the bartender thing and I killed it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Actually, was the funny thing. I was in that play with another comedian, Grant Gordon. I don't know if you remember him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
me and Grant were in there. Grant had a bigger part than I did. Grant was popular. He was like voted the funniest kid in school.
Well, so you did one play. Then what else did you have to do as far as like started I mean, at this point, you're not really. I'm assuming you're not taking it seriously. It's like I don't really know what's happening. Like I'll try to act, I guess. But like,
Well, no, the idea was I wanted to do stand up early and I wanted to be a kid actor. I watched a lot of Keenan Thompson movies. I heard that Eddie Murphy started when he was 15. So I was like, and he's from Long Island. So I was like, okay, I can start doing comedy as soon as I leave high school. I'm going to be a big success. And what ended up happening was I watched a lot of stand-up comedy. I also was in the entertainment industry because I went to a vocational school. So I would do half high school, half vocational school. My vocational school was it was video production. And I
oh,
was like,
okay.
all
Oh
right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
So that's how I learned how to edit. Like we were editing on like G3s and stuff like that. That's
They look like
and
candy, like the old MacBooks
yeah,
and the
that's what it
Mac computers.
was.
They were
They were
like
huge.
translucent and they were like
Hmm.
neon green and blue.
Yep. They were
Everything was like
huge.
they were rubbery. Like
Yep.
it was like, what the heck? That's interesting. So do you think that working in TV production helps you be a better actor?
It shows you blocking. It shows you where
You're
the camera is.
you're more mindful of the crew. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And you realize how hard some of those jobs are. So I mean, I've never seen you be a dick, but like I'd imagine that would also give you perspective. Like
Oh
you see
yeah.
how long it takes to set up lights, so you're not gonna be like, come on, guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy that makes everybody stay there longer. Like you want to get through your lines and finish them. So eh,
What
that helped me.
all right, so then what was your first like real uh like gig then? When
Mm,
things finally you felt like it was a real thing and not just a hobby.
first real thing. I don't know. I still think it's a hobby. Like I don't know what the first real thing was. The first time I was on TV was I was on BT's Coming to the Stage, and that was for stand up. And
Okay.
I went on with my two friends, and we were the only like group. Like it was kind of like Coming to the Stage was kind of like Comic View for BET.
Yeah.
However, it was like Comic View mixed with American Idol. It was like Last Comic Standing before Last Comic Standing even started,
Yeah.
and it was a dumpster fire. It was really bad. It was like I bombed on national TV, and like I could not get around it. It was the worst. I've told the story many times before, but like they had judges for this thing, and my judges were like Judge Maybelline from Divorce Court and Judge Joe Brown. And
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Pulling out
it
all the
was,
stops.
oh my god, it was horrible. Mark Curry was the host from Hanging Mr. Cooper. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So it was
What year was this?
this was 2003.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
mhm.
where what was the next year like? Were you defeated in stand up? Were you like, yeah, I'm kind of focusing on acting? Maybe Bye
Nah,
Bye Birdie isn't so bad.
I did. I went harder with stand up because prior to that, I had only did stand up like once, and I went on stage at the Boston Comedy Club.
Rest in peace.
Um, yeah, I went on stage for the first time, and I was horrible too. And then once we got back to New York from doing the show, I wanted to do more stand up. So I was like, all right, I got to get better. Let me start doing stand up. And that's when you like start getting a couple good shows. You start getting a little cocky. I was 19. So like I was super cocky. I was just like
Hercules, Hercules.
I was doing a lot of crazy things. And what ended up happening was I bombed in front of Richard Jenny, and I was like, let me just chill for a while.
Is that why he killed himself, you think?
Probably why. I don't know. So what happened, the Richard Jenny story, and I've told the story before too, but what happened with Richard Jenny was I didn't know who he was. I was this cocky 19-year-old kid who just was like, all right, yeah, I'm the best thing ever. I had to act like it. And I saw Richard Jenny and I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy in his bad comedy? He's been doing comedy for 20 years. Oh God, get this guy away from me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking all the worst things about him. I'm like, he was in The Mask. The Mask. How long ago was The Mask? I was a kid when The Mask came out.
He was in Fools Rush In with Matthew Perry.
I've never seen that movie. I just know that he was in The Mask. And I was like, I don't even, if he's not Jim Carrey, he's not anybody else.
Yeah, the
And yeah, it was one of those situations where it was like a bringer show, and I brought a girl I was trying to impress.
oh man.
And I just went and
Probably haven't
tanked.
you probably haven't talked to her since.
Oh no, she didn't even talk to me on the train. Like she went and got into another train car. We took the train together, and then like she had brought her friends. She's like, "Oh my god, this guy's really funny," and like I never heard from her. Yeah.
That was in 2009. You and I were on a show where we did the Power Hour,
Mhm.
Eastville Comedy Club, and I had the worst show of my life, and I brought out like a dozen friends, and it's such a quiet ride back. You know it's bad when no one says anything after the show.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "You guys hungry? Where should we go eat?" And I'm like, "That's when you know."
Yeah.
It's the
We went to Burger
loneliest.
King.
You're surrounded by all your friends, and you're so lonely, and you don't want to be near anyone. But all right, back to acting. What did you ever do any like courses or anything? Like what is I know like comedy there's really no outline, but is
Mm.
there something that like you tried to follow as far as like to pursue acting?
I didn't know what to do. What ended up at the acting story was I thought I never would get into acting. But what happened was I was really good friends with this guy, Jeff Lawrence. And he was starting this new thing called Laughing Book. And what happened was he had these industry nights where like if you bring some people, you get seen in front of some industry. And there was a manager there that said, "Hey, you'd be really good for commercials." And I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to get into this thing. Let me try it." So he had me read for a couple things. He sucked. RIP to him though, by the way. But what ended up happening was he sent me on a couple auditions. I didn't like them, and then I didn't speak to him for a year. In the process of that, I took classes at UCB because everybody was saying, "Hey, take classes at UCB. You'll get better. You'll do this. You'll do that." Well, I took 101, 201, and 301, and I think I did sketch 101 as well. And I
Wow,
went into his
where'd you get
office.
$1 million? That's a lot of classes. Holy
Yeah, I
shit.
took all those classes. The 101 was an intensive. The 201 was every 2 weeks, and my 301 I spaced it out. But I took sketch after 201, and then
Okay.
I went back to 301. And yeah, I just was like, I'm going to take these classes. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to do whatever. And I walked into his office after a year of not seeing him. And I said, "Yo, if you send me out on any audition, I will book it." And I actually did book it. I booked the first audition that he sent me on. And it was for ESPN. It was an industrial video where I had to talk about the New York Knicks. And I was like, "Oh, this is a slam dunk."
Yeah, I've always considered you like a New York guy. So yeah, it seems. Um, what about the commercial where you talked about Bobby's asthma?
Yeah, that commercial I got roped into. Yeah, it was basically the guy. I remember the director said that I reminded him of Rosie Greer. I don't know if you know who Rosie Greer is.
No.
He's a football player that was in the 70s, but he was huge.
Was he in a short circuit?
I don't know.
Her batteries not included?
I don't know.
Uh,
Pull up Rosie Greer and you'll
Let me
see
look
him.
him up.
He was like, "You remind me of Rosie Greer. Do you know who that is?" Like, "I have no clue, sir." But he did tell me that because of my everyman appearance, I have the power to make people cry.
Whoa. Here's
So I
Rosie
was like,
Greer.
"Yeah, that's Rosie Greer. That's exactly who he said I looked like." And I was like, "Do you think we all look alike, sir?" You think
Oh,
all
I thought
black
I was
people look
interviewing
alike?
Rosie Greer. This is awkward now.
This
Okay.
is awkward. This is very awkward. Um, but yeah, he told me, "You have the power to make people cry," and I was like, "Okay." So I went and did it. It was a long shoot. It was like a 12-hour shoot, and in the 12th hour, they changed all my lines,
Uh,
and
do,
it took me forever to finish.
do you think I know there's a large statement, but you look at some of the greatest dramatic actors in the world, and a lot of them have comedy roots.
Mhm.
Do you think there's truth to that?
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. However, it's funny. Comedians normally struggle with comedy. Drama is easy. Drama is easy.
That
That's why you see Michael Keaton, Eddie Murphy was doing dramatic and action movies.
Yeah.
But when they moved into comedy, it seemed harder. Like when Michael Keaton's doing Mr. Mom, or when Eddie Murphy's doing Trading Places, it was harder for them because they're so used to delivering the joke themselves. When now they have to work with other people to deliver the joke, they're like,
Yeah.
how do I rely on somebody? What if they're not funny?
Yeah. And it's, I forget who said it, but you don't, like, you're on stage, you tell a joke, you know right away if it works.
Right.
You write a movie, cast the movie, direct the movie, edit the movie, and then show it at a screening, and then you have to see, do these jokes land?
Mhm.
So, I look at someone like Eddie Murphy or Jim Carrey, where they're taking these big risks.
Mm.
Like you brought up The Mask earlier. Like, picture
Mhm.
someone pitching that to you. Like, oof, that has to be like, you have to have a lot of faith in whatever. Because I mean, if I read The Mask on paper, I'd be like, this is doofy.
Yeah, like who else was like auditioning for The Mask? Was it like Mel Gibson?
Jamie Kennedy.
Tom Cruise? Jamie Kennedy wasn't around. I'm talking about like '93. Like who
No, because he
who
did
was
the
reading
Mask
this?
reboot
The
and
son of
it
the Mask.
bombed.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Oh man.
He does stand up out here.
I know, I've seen it. Like I know Robin Williams, like him, John Leguizamo. They're
But the
people.
difference is they are trained actors.
Yeah,
Like, Robin Williams is from Juilliard. Like John Leguizamo wasn't a comedian first; he was an actor.
yeah.
He just what he does is one man shows.
Those
Which
are
is something.
phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's something that you learn to do in acting. Like it's not something that you learn to do in stand up.
Yeah, it's more of a performance than just jokes. Like,
Right.
he's a storyteller. Um, what is something, like you said, you've gone on a bunch of auditions. What is something that uh, was a wake up call when it comes to auditioning that you never knew?
What do you mean?
Like something you never expected, and then all of a sudden you're in all these different auditions. What is something that you wish someone with more experience told you going into them?
Um, Take more classes. As an actor, you always have to work on your craft. And it's like comedy as well. It's a muscle. And you have to work at it, work at it, work at it. And what ends up happening is that when you're out of shape, you're out of shape. So it's like you just got to keep working at your craft and working at what you're doing. Like I'm learning as I go in this moment. Like I have to redo all like my auditions sometimes. Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, yeah, so sorry, I had to hit a button or something like that.
No
Um,
worries.
there we go. But yeah, you have to like always be on. You have to like always like figure stuff out. There's a lot of stuff that I still learning to this day about the audition process, and like now it's self-taping, so you have to have a self-tape setup in your house, and like if you don't, then they're like, oh, you gotta, like, I had to buy more lights, I had to buy more, like I have a one of those music stands for like my
The
sides,
lines,
and
and yeah,
yeah, so like I'm
yeah.
like I'm learning as I go, you know.
I think that's the misconception, is that people, they're like, when I'm an actor or when I'm a comedian, like, I don't think it gets easier. Like, part of this podcast is talking about, like, once you get your foot in the door, that's when the work starts. Like,
Hmm.
there's no shortcuts, there's no easy ways, unless it's like some weird, thing that no one can explain. But like, even me with my day job, like video editing and stuff, like I have to keep up with it because I don't want to be that disgruntled old guy that's like, back in my day, and I only know how to use this one machine.
Yeah.
Like, y-
Linear editing. Yeah, I used
y-
to take a half inch and I put it in the thing and I rewind it this way, or 3/4, and I take the 3/4 and I
oh my God, that's hysterical. That impression is
VTR operator.
90% of the people. Yeah. Um, so what sort of resource would you recommend to people that are starting? Like if like to you said they have to take classes and like keep learning. What's something that they should, look at?
I mean, there's different methods to acting. I haven't mastered all of them yet, but there's different methods to acting. Stanislavski, there's like you have to figure out what your method is, what your process is, and like understand that you are playing a character and what you bring to the table, how you elevate that character. So you can be somebody, but you have to actually be the person that you're doing, and you have to read it like that, or you have to like envision yourself as that person. And it sounds easy, but a lot of times when you don't really connect with the character, it's hard.
I think that's good acting though, is when you're like, wow, that looks easy. Like that's
Mm,
the commitment to like what's funny is the majority of people in the world, they're like, oh, acting's easy. And it's like, all right, well, act like you want to be at this social event that you don't want to be at. And they're like, I can't do that. It's like,
right.
well, I thought acting's easy, you know?
No, it's like comedy too. Like I think comedy and acting are the two things that like people everybody thinks they can do. I think that
Yeah.
entertainment is one thing. Like I don't walk around and say, "Hey, I can be a carpenter. Look at me. I build stuff at home. I can go build that building." Like nobody else does that. Nobody tries. There's no open mics for lawyers. like you don't just say, I can do that. I watch a lot of Law and Order. Let me go and litigate this trial.
But a lot of lawyers try open mics. That's what's
Yeah,
annoying.
no, they do. They
Oh my
do.
god.
And
In
but
Long
that's the
Island,
thing.
especially, dear
Of
God.
course. And no, there's doctors that do it. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like I don't ever say, "Hey, I've watched ER and all these other medical shows. Like let me go and practice medicine." I have no experience but the fact that I watch these TV shows.
That's
And
funny. I guess moving forward in your career, what was it like to like when did it start to feel real, like seeing yourself in what was your first on-air series or movie?
my first movie, you just saw it a couple years ago. My first series, um, besides like the small stuff that I've done, like I did a lot of commercials for a while. But
Yeah.
my first TV show had to be Hack My Life.
Did people see did you go to auditions and they're like, "Oh, this is the commercial guy." Like how did you
Well, they don't know that this is a commercial guy because I my commercials were never really like big, you know. So
Okay.
like
You're
and
just
when
another like it's almost like they herd cattle when they are casting.
basically, yeah,
Like, all
like
right, you're up. Do your oh, he was good. Okay, cool. They're not really like I've run a lot of castings,
mhm,
and honestly, I think the resume doesn't really mean much. It's what the
it
magic you
doesn't.
bring to the room.
Yeah, but it's harder now because of Zoom, like because of Zoom and because of self tape. Like you don't know, you have no notes that people give you. Like I went
You
to like
can't you
yeah, like
can't
nobody
gauge it.
tells you and you can't gauge it. Like all I have is my manager telling me, "Oh, that sucked. Try it again." I'm like, I'm at work. I'm at work for another 8 hours. You mean to tell me I gotta try to do this again? But like it's you don't get that feedback. Like I went on my first in-person audition last week and I was like, oh, I'm getting feedback. I'm so used to doing self-tapes that like I'm actually getting feedback in the room. And even though those people are remote, I'm still getting
Yeah.
feedback. So I
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
that's like stand up. Picture like, all right, go up, tell your jokes at home. Like people were doing Zoom shows,
Yeah, no.
and it just seemed counterintuitive.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not good. But yeah, my
what
first time on TV was, I think, in a show was Hack My Life. But prior to that, my first time on TV was Coming to the Stage.
and when like your friends and family, like did they were they just like
They
you
didn't
have those
see it.
people, the people that are like, oh, are you still doing the acting thing?
Yeah. Are you still doing the comedy thing or are you still doing an acting thing? Yeah, that's why I came to LA. That's why.
um And what do you think about people that want to be actors? Is LA the place they have to be?
That's what I was told. We still have a year to figure this out. So I've
Yeah.
only been out here a couple months, so I'm learning as I go. Um, there's ups and downs, there's challenges. There's a lot, and it's weird. And this is like a very weird world. It's wider. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's wider out here. Like there's a lot of different things going on, but it's still weird. It's still different from New York casting, but it's,
Yeah.
is what it is.
If someone was looking to get into acting and they live in a small town, do you think, like, did you ever, when you were in Long Island, was there stuff out there you were doing, or
No,
did you have to come to the city?
I always I always came to that was the misconception. Because a lot of people thought like I was a city guy. And nah, I was coming from Long Island because I didn't know that there was anything in Long Island. And then once I found out there's stuff in Long Island, I was like, why am I keep going to the city? When I'm
Yeah.
young and stupid, I'm gonna go everywhere. You'll catch me at in Harlem on a Monday night doing stand-up at an open mic. And I don't have any responsibilities. But when I got older, I'm like, I can just do the same club and don't have to move anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess what's something you've learned about yourself through the last 20 years of your career?
Um, that I'm actually funny. I never thought that I was funny.
When did you realize that? I think you're hysterical.
I know, but like the film this is very personal. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for letting me get all this out. Um, I you know I never think that I'm funny because I just think that I people like me. Like I know I'm a likable person. So
Yeah,
like
you're
it's
very
kind of
likable.
like, yeah, it's kind of like it's not really I try now to not be likable. So I can get people to like me even more. It's weird. Like,
What's
it's like a
your
crutch.
what's your dream role? Like what that would challenge yourself, you think?
Um I you know what? I don't know. Something where like I would have to cry. Because I don't think anybody could see me cry or something away from comedy. I think that's why I've chosen a lot of things that were away from comedy because that's where like I shine. Like when I do something that's like comedy related. So I just did an audition for this show on FX where I had to be like part vampire. Uh it was like I was supposed to be a rapper slash like I was a gangster rapper that got bit by a vampire, and now I do rap lyrics, but I want to retire from that and do observational comedy. And I basically just pretended to be me on stage,
That's
but like,
funny.
but I elevated it to like me being like a Def Jam comedian. So,
That's great.
you
So
know,
wait, is this Vampire in Brooklyn Part 2?
no, no, no. It's something stupid. Something stupid. I don't want to name the show, but like it's just yeah.
Is it about shadows?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
All
something about
right.
that. Yeah.
All right.
But
What Louis C.K. does in the shadows. Okay. Perfect.
you know how many times I auditioned for Louis and I never got it?
Thank God.
Yeah, I auditioned. I was like, all I had to do was pull my pants down for him. Like, is that it?
When we
Um,
had our podcast, I mean, the things I would do in front of you. White
yeah,
people are crazy.
I didn't say
So
that.
if you do you think you'll get a chance to work with Eddie Murphy? Like, would that
I
be the thing?
I don't know if that would be the thing. They say never meet your idols. Like, it's not that I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan. Um, it's mostly because he means a lot to like my community, and he means different things to different people. So it's kind
Yeah.
of weird. When I did this podcast, I wanted to talk about movies, but I wanted to make it like specific because everybody talks about movies. So if you take something that somebody's doing, like for instance, somebody had a Denzel Washington podcast. somebody had a Tom Hanks podcast, which I love their title. It's Hanks for the Memories.
That's
Um,
great. What is the
yeah.
Denzel one called? My Man.
The yeah, no, it was Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was with W. Bell. So I saw that they were doing this, and all they had to do was talk about specific movies from somebody's catalog. Like, let's say if I do another one, I'll probably do Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh,
yeah, and you just go down the list of like movies that this person has done, and
the
like
motherfucker podcast.
exactly. And you just look for people who want to like follow you and like try to do it. So like if I was to do something else like this, like I'm on my last couple of movies now. So I'm kind of like pacing myself. Like there's some weeks that I'm not doing it. And you know, you
Yeah.
put your stuff out there and you see if people are listening, and sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Like sometimes your episodes break 1,000, sometimes they only get 25 downloads. You know, you don't know.
It's funny because like I wonder if the reception of the movie dictates your reach.
It does. But
Like if you're doing an episode on a movie that people don't really care for by Eddie Murphy, then they're probably gonna be like, I genuinely don't care.
it does. It does. That's why I was doing the obscure movies first and then doing the big movies later. Because
Is
what
that why you had
happens
me
is,
on for Nutty Professor 2?
well, yeah, that's why I do. But see, that's why I do the sequel first and then do, because if
Yeah.
you're just doing, like if I just did Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places,
People would
and
be
like,
over it.
yeah, Coming to America, they were like, all right, well, what else does he have? Because those are the only movies I like. So
You
you know,
can't start with the hits.
yeah, you got to play some of the B-sides first. So like, you know, he has other movies that are almost as successful, but it's just like you have to figure out what it is that you want. Like, you know, do you want this? Do you want that? Who knows?
Speaking of B-sides, you know, you're very active, you do a lot of projects. Are there any projects that you uh don't understand why they didn't get a better reception or reach a bigger audience?
Ask Coles.
Oh, assholes. What's weird is that's the one thing I've worked on that I still get messages from random people throughout the world, and they're like, "This is great. Why isn't this not on TV?" I'm like, "I don't know."
I don't know. We could try again. There's no like clip shows anymore. Not right
Yeah,
now.
we could literally do it virtually,
We could.
where it's like, "All right, here's the topics, have at it," and then we just cut them.
We could do live streams on Facebook and do like Ask Coles, like, or ask us anything, like an AMA.
I think that's a good idea. We should start a Discord.
Why not?
All
I
right.
mean,
Well,
it is what it is, you know, and
I,
Lucidi
I
can
think
be a part of it.
I always ask him, he can't.
Nah, he can now. I think he can
No,
now.
he's in Texas with Ted Cruz, so
Nah, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz isn't gonna do anything.
no.
Ted,
All
Ted
right.
Cruz is
So,
worried about Big Bird getting vaccinations.
oh my God, typical. What do you wish you knew before you started?
Um, the politics of it all. The I wish I learned. Always remember that you love this thing, and not get bogged down or jaded. Because
That's a
comedy's,
constant reminder
yeah,
for
comedy's like
me.
marriage.
Yeah.
Like the longer you're in it, the more like you're like, why did I do this again?
Yeah. It's an abusive relationship. It definitely is.
It is. It's like, you know, every anniversary you're like, when did I start doing this again? And did I remember to bring you flowers?
Yeah. Like it's such a, everyone cares and no one cares about creative stuff, I feel like.
Yeah. Everybody's
'Cause
there in the beginning to see you stumble, but they're not there to see you when you're good. It's like
yeah,
it's
like I also think there's something to be said about like I think a lot of people think it's all or nothing. Like Nigel, you're either Tom Hanks or you're an open
mm,
micer. And it's like, wait, hang on. Uh like you can make a living being an actor and no one can know your name. You know what I
right,
mean? Like
right.
And I think like Dave Chappelle said something like that. If I could make what a math teacher makes and be a comedian, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And his parents were like, okay, well then we're behind you because what's your expectations? So I guess what's your goal?
Um, just to be like George Wallace.
That's actually awesome. That's an actual awesome goal.
Somebody else said that. Like somebody else said that where they're like, yeah, I could just tour like George Wallace. Oh, Chris Rock. Chris Rock said that. It's like worst comes to worst, I could just tour like George Wallace and make money every year. You know, it's just
Yeah.
basically sustaining a living. I think that's success when you can sustain a living doing what you love. You know.
I think that's part of this too. Like, I don't think like when you're on stage or when you're in front of the camera, that's not the job.
Mm,
That's the reward.
right.
It's all the other crap. And you said the politics, like that's where it gets frustrating. And I think that's what burns people out. It's not like I love making people laugh. I love doing, projects where I'm in front of the camera, but like it's everything else because people are flaky and
Mhm.
people in this industry are this is such a weird industry of people. There's a majority of people that are elitists that
Mhm.
don't understand work ethic.
Yeah. It's weird. Like I have one of my good friends out here. His name is Darian Sills Evans. Now you wouldn't know him, but he has been in several TV shows. Like this guy to me is freaking famous. Like he's worked with Bill Cosby. He was
In what way?
eh, he
Was
played
he in
his son.
Ghost Dad?
No, he played his son-in-law in the second Cosby show. Um
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. He was on Superior Donuts with like Judd Hirsch and Jermaine Fowler. Like right now he's actually on The Conners. He plays Becky's love interest right now,
Okay, yeah.
which is crazy. Like she's dating a black dude. It's nuts. But like that's one
That's
of
why
my good
Roseanne
friends.
died.
Yeah.
That's why.
But that's one of my good friends. And like you wouldn't know him if he's walking on the street. You wouldn't know, but he's made a successful living over the past 20 to 30 years acting. And he lives well and nobody knows who he is and he loves it. And I was like, I would love that. Like to have like his type of career, like where I can just
You
go
can
act and like nobody bother me.
you can still go out to eat. Like no
Yeah.
one's gonna be like, hey, 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 hey. Like, yeah. My goal is to be the random guy. Like I want 2 lines in a movie. I want, like a comedy special or two.
You
I
want to be Richie Minervini.
I want to be Richard Jenny.
Oh, Richie Jenny.
Minus the end.
Do you know who Richie Minervini is?
No. Are
He's
you
one
just
of Kevin
stereotyping
James.
Italians over here?
No, he's one of Kevin James's friends, and he's always in like movies with Kevin James.
I already know who you're talking about then. I know exactly
Yeah.
who you're talking about. Yeah. Man, I wish we were friends when we were in middle school. We could have remade Heavyweights.
We could have. We still could do it. I mean, it could be
them as
a heavyweights
we
reunion.
we should do a sketch where it's Gerald and Keenan when they're the 2 guys when they're older.
Yeah. 30 years past the heavyweights.
Hey guys, still heavyweights.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are some resources or recommendations for people that would like to pursue being on a stage or in front of a camera?
I would say learn everything that you can. I would say soak up the moment. I would say use every resource that you can find. If you can, there's this thing called Google, which is a great search engine for information. But yeah, that's what I would
know
say.
I didn't do good in public school because I'm like, okay. He spelled
Yeah.
Google for you idiots out there.
Yeah, you can Google this stuff. Like that's, I mean,
YouTube.
honestly, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy a lot of times. Sometimes I'm like the most unlucky guy, but to come out here and get an agent, get a manager in like less than a year is something that a lot of people don't have, and it's a big feat. Now is where the real work starts, where like, I'm trying to do all these self tapes for like different TV shows, especially the ones that shoot out here, and pilot season is coming soon. So I just know like this is all preparation for when, a pilot actually happens. Like I know there's somebody out there that will cast me. I just got to figure out who, when, and what will happen. And hopefully this will be the thing that changes my life.
That's awesome. And I think there's a testament to, like you said earlier, it's like boxing and like getting in your fighting weight, and like you got to
Yeah.
stay in shape because like, I think people think that, you live in LA, you have an agent, you're like, now it's just, going on some auditions. It's like, no, like each one of those things is a fight. You really got to work hard. And I'm really glad that you talked about, how you're continuing to learn. And um, I think that's what people underestimate about this
Yeah,
career.
you always have to be learning. Like you can't know everything. You have to like learn, grow, and challenge yourself.
Awesome. Well, I want to wrap it up. I know you're busy and we're in a different time change. Thank you for waking up early. You look great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I woke up like this.
Oh my God. Me too. I just got my hair cut by
Oh,
the Dominican place down the block, and I was like, leave my
nice.
sideburns. And they go,
Yeah.
you go, sorry, big papi.
Hey, listen, at least you have Dominicans. There are no Dominicans out here. I have not met a Dominican yet.
Man, what did you have to get how is it like drive? Is it traffic as horrible as they say?
I mean, it's
Oh, you're doing
it's
home tapes too, so it's not
yeah, but I
a
work in Culver City. So like
okay.
I live outside of LA. So like it takes me an hour to get to the city back and forth. And
Just like New York.
mhm, just like New York. So
uh
that's why like when I moved here, I was like, yeah, I do this already. So
yeah,
it is
people
what
are
it is.
at least, yeah, that's at least you don't have some homeless guy peeing next to you on a train.
Yeah, but the
Um
homeless people here, they have tents. Like it's weird, man. Like
they're
they go
called tiny
camping.
houses now.
These people go camping. They have phones. Like, it's weird, man.
Yeah, we I'm so glad we could connect. I definitely want to figure out a way we could, bring back some sort of, talking head thing or commentary, because I think, we were naturals and it was fun and people really liked it. Maybe it's a
There has
better
to be a
time
fan
now.
base for it. I mean, 9 times out of 10 now, people they just they don't want to go out. So, especially if they don't have like babysitters and whatnot, that's where these things work. So,
Yeah. I guess if people listen to this and they want to see more of your stuff, where can they find it?
you can find me and it on Instagram. My IG is at Nigel Fullerton _. You can also listen to the Murphy Monday podcast. That's murphymondaypod.com, where I give these breakdowns and deep takes about Eddie Murphy movies. And they're very spirited with people from the industry and sometimes people not from the industry, just fans. So find me there.
Can I put you on the spot and have you do your best Eddie Murphy impression?
Oh, no, you've heard me do this. Like,
But these fans might not have. They gotta.
oh, oh, fabulous. Ain't nothing like getting together having a hot meal. Oh, fabulous. Oh, Hercules, Hercules. Yeah.
And then can I get just one Notorious B.I.G. baby?
Oh, I got to do baby. I don't think he's ever said baby.
Baby.
Yeah,
Or
nah.
I'll do it. Baby.
It's too early for me to do this.
No worries. I want to thank you again. This was really insightful and exciting, and it's nice because usually when we get together, we just kind of rip on each other. So this was informative.
Yeah, I try.
But no, I wish you the best. I see a lot of big things coming, and I can't wait to be your Rob Schneider to your Adam Sandler.
Of course.
For me, go to MikeSalonacomedy.com. This Friday, December 3rd, I will be in Exton, Pennsylvania. And then, check out my albums, The Do Not Call List, Volume 1, and Calzone Farm, available now on all streaming platforms. And yeah, 2022, I'm putting another album together. So big
Nice.
things are coming. We got some web projects coming and maybe an Assholes reunion. So an exclusive. You heard it here first. We got to wake up Jess Mazo and
can we find Christy Cello?
We got to get Adrian Hamilton back from Disney, man, because I swear she lives there. But if you're a fan of comedy, honestly, go to YouTube and look up Don't Be an Asshole. There's, I don't know, like 50 episodes, if not more, on some of the funniest topics. And thank you guys for listening. This is Mike's Mike. And get sweaty, people. Just an old school shout out.